Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a story time video about the time that I picked up a subscriber in an Uber. So everybody has been telling me to do a story time video and I couldn't think of a good story, and then I remembered that time that I went to Montreal and I picked up a subscriber in an Uber. So to start off the story, I went to Montreal with my friend Pollyanna and her boyfriend Michael and then my boyfriend Lucas. So we drove the 7 hours to get to Montreal. When we arrived at our hotel, everything went wrong. Like, the water didn't work, we had reservations to go eat, and we didn't come. We didn't get to our reservations on time. Everybody was stressed out because, first of all, the water pressure was really bad, and then the manager came upstairs and started yelling at us, telling us that, like, he couldn't do anything about it, and he thought it was, like, a little birthday party, and we were a bunch of, like, young kids, and we were, like, really offended. So after all of that finally sorted itself out, Pollyanna and I went and we got ready, we did our makeup, and we decided we were going to go to a restaurant called Moxie's in Montreal. So this restaurant is probably about a 10-minute walk away. So we walked to this restaurant, Moxie's, after we were all ready, and we decided we were going to go out later that night. So when we got all ready, we went to Moxie's, we had dinner and drinks, and it was really good, and the service was amazing, and then we decided we were going to walk back. So when we were walking back, I was Snapchatting in Montreal with us all, you know, with the filter, the Snapchat filters that they have. I was Snapchatting with the filter and everything, and you know, everything was good, everything was normal, and we were walking back to our hotel. So when we got back to our hotel, we went upstairs and we were going to decide what we were doing that night. Now, we'd heard about like a few different like clubs and venues and stuff to go to, but we weren't sure which one to go to. So this is like where the funny part comes in. I had a Snapchat, and sometimes I don't check all my Snapchats, you know, like right when I get sent them. And I have the Snapchat and I open it up and it's this girl and she's like, hey, like, I hope I run into you, like, how long are you in Montreal? And we were just there for 2-3 days. So I was like, oh, like, I'm not there for long. And then I was like, we don't know anywhere to go, like, do you know anything? And she's like, yeah, sure. And I know a few things, and she starts listing a few places to go. And I looked at my friend and I was like, let's just bring her with us. Like, she knows the area, she spoke French, so I was like, let's just bring her with us. And my friend was like, yeah, like, sure. You know, we had our girl conversation and kept the boys out of it. And then we told them, like, we're going to pick up a subscriber, and they were like, are you crazy? Like, you're gonna go pick up a person you haven't met. You don't even know if this is a real person. You don't know if this person's like legit. Like, you don't know if it's a man. I was so freaked out. After they said that, I was so freaked out, and I was like determined. I already told this girl, like, let's go all together and stuff. Like, let's go all together to this place and like wherever she told us to go. So I was like, okay, you know, I'm just gonna message her and I'm gonna be like, FaceTime me, like FaceTime me. Do you have an iPhone? FaceTime me so I could see like it's an actual girl. So she FaceTimes me and she's beautiful and she's sweet and she's like, hey, like, I'm like, sorry, like, I was just a little bit nervous. I didn't know like who I was picking up or who I was going to meet. Like, I just wanted to be sure. And she's like, yeah, no problem. So my friend was like, okay, how are we gonna get to her? So parking in Montreal is crazy expensive, so we decided to take an Uber. So my friend and I know nothing about the Uber app. Like, we are from Canada, or well, the Niagara region, and Uber is new here, and like Uber is new where we're from. We don't know anything about it, and then we see Ubers in Montreal. So flashing back to when we like came into the hotel, the guy was like, okay, if you're gonna go anywhere, Uber, because it's super expensive to park, blah 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 blah. So my friend and I are like, okay, we're gonna have to call an Uber. So instead of like calling or like requesting the Uber on the app, my friend like calls the Uber guy. And then he ends up like, my phone was on silent, and then it tells you like dings on your phone like when the guy's coming. So like we requested like an Uber Supreme, like expensive car, and then the guy was like, no, like it costs more. My friend was like, okay, there's no point. So we canceled the Uber and we called this other guy, his name was Victor. So it says Victor's arrived, whatever, and I don't know what he looks like. My friend and I walked downstairs, well, the four of us walked downstairs, and I'm like, are you my Uber? And he starts like this attitude yelling at me like, you can't say that, there's taxis there, you can't say I'm an Uber. And I'm like, what the hell? So he's like, okay, like, where are you going? So I put it in the app, and he's like, okay, it's gonna cost 20 bucks. And I'm like, there and back from like our hotel to like, from our hotel to her house, and then to where we're going. He said the whole trip, 20 bucks. So I was like, okay, whatever, no problem. So we go, we pick her up. She's so sweet. You know, I go out and I meet her. Like, it was so much fun to see her, and it was like great. So she gets into the Uber, and he's like, we already had told him that where we were going. So we already told him we were going to this lounge, a shisha lounge called Lux. And he was like, okay, yeah, $20. And we remembered that. We're like, okay, 18 to 20, he said. We're like, okay, whatever. So she gets back into the car. We get into the car and we're driving to this place called Lux. So we go into Lux, and then I'm like, okay, thanks, Victor. Thanks for a ride. Yeah, so great. And we left. And then we go upstairs, and you know, there's music, and we order shisha, and she tells us like the good shisha to order and the good drinks to order, because she goes there all the time with her friends. And you know, she was lovely, and it was so much fun. And we take Snapchats and pictures and vlog and video. We had so much fun that night. And then we all go to the washroom, the 3 girls. So the girl that we picked up, and then my friend Pollyanna and I, we go to the washroom. And there's this girl in there with glasses. And like I just remember her glasses. That's what I remember like distinctly about her. And she was like, oh my gosh, like you're from YouTube. Like I saw your channel. Like, can I get a picture with you? And I'm like, yeah, like sure. And I was so confused because like I've never been noticed where I'm from. Like people have never said like, oh my gosh, like I don't have a massive YouTube channel. So I was like, okay, like I was a little bit confused, but she's like, oh yeah, like I watch your videos, like I love you, I see you on Instagram with your boyfriend. And I'm like, oh, and she's like, is he here? And I'm like, yeah, he's out there. And she was like, oh my gosh, like Kylie Jenner is in Montreal, like let's go. And my friend's looking at me like, Kylie Jenner's in Montreal. She's like, yeah, like she's at this bar called Musique, like let's go, this club, it's gonna be so much fun. So we're like, okay, whatever. So we go back to our table where Lucas and Michael and are sitting, and this girl's like, can we bring our shisha over to your table? And we're like, yeah, sure, whatever. She's like, I'm with my gay best friend, and we came here to see Kylie. And I'm like, okay. So then this girl that I picked up, my like, she's my friend, but my viewer that I picked up, she was like, oh, like, I don't believe Kylie Jenner's here. Like, all my friends would know. Like, everybody would be hyped. Like, Kylie Jenner would be in Montreal. She'd post pictures in Snapchat. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. So then this girl brings her shisha over to the table, to where we're sitting. And like, she's like, yeah, like she's saying really weird things and like making us feel really uncomfortable. She's saying like all this weird stuff. And then this girl that I picked up, she's looking at me, she's like, okay, like, you know, like let's go. And I'm like, you're probably right. So I'm like, okay, let's call an Uber. We're gonna call an Uber to go. So she's talking to Michael about living, like where they live, or she thinks that they live somewhere in common, which I didn't believe. And I was like, okay, like I didn't believe that she even knew me from YouTube, honestly. I really didn't believe it. I think she just overheard our conversation. And she's like, oh, like, can I Uber back? Like, we'll all Uber back to your hotel, and like, we'll go meet Kylie Jenner. And I was like, because I was like, if I'm gonna go like go to where like the place, like Musique, like I had to change. I was in like, you know, I was in lounge clothing. I had to change to go to the club. And she was like, yeah, like we'll all go back to your hotel. Like, I can't wait. And she's saying really weird stuff like, oh, like I'm a drug dealer. And I'm so lost. And like Michael and Pollyanna and I and Lucas were like sitting here like, what the heck is this girl talking about? So like we literally had to lie to get out of that place. We had to be like, oh, like sorry, like our mom is calling us. Like she was so out of it. She didn't even put 2 and 2 together. Like I said that we weren't from Montreal. But I was like, oh, our mom's calling us, we have to go. So we left because like it was really weird. The way that she said she knew us, it was really weird. Like, oh, is your boyfriend here? I really think she just heard our conversation that we had like at the sinks because she was in the bathroom. And then we ended up taking the girl home, and it was really great to meet her. It was so much fun. And then we ended up going to McDonald's and taking an Uber there too, and got surcharged like a lot of money. But we ended up going home back to the hotel. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed my time in Montreal. And we went back to the Lux lounge the next day, and it was so much fun.
Can you see it? The worst is over. The monsters in my head